I can demo a follow-up. And thanks to Sarah, Alyssa, Richard, Stephen for kind of continued help here. So we shipped, and this is live for folks now, the field picker I demoed a little while ago, just to show folks what this looks like. Again, real quick, I'm going to add a time frame selector now to this query. I'm going to add sales price sum, and I can now toggle between any of the timeframes that are pre-specified on this field inside the model. So here I'll just put quarter in. We can also add a field selector. This field selector basically lets us pick from any field inside the model. And we've got a little bit of control. So I'm going to call these, let's call this selector measures, and I want to include order items count also, maybe as a way of curating, items count. I spell it right. So I'll update this. So it's a way of curating the end user experience to be able to pick from, maybe a number of different measures. So in this case, we'll swap order items count to sum. This also would let you do things like change formatting. So if you've got a number of different model fields that have potentially different formats, or maybe it's even the same field, so sales price sum, and you want some of them to look like accounting based formatting, or some of them to look like I don't know, IDs with no commas or something like that. You could do that too. We're working on adding this to a dashboard so that the controls, which we're sort of calling them, will basically be able to be powered by that. You could have, say, for example, a time frame selector that's going to span across, a bunch of different charts, and have kind of, you can think of them almost like a superset of filters. Filters are like a subset of what a control is, and being able to have configuration around that also. But that's a follow-up. So right now it's just live inside the workbook.
Awesome. For the formatting thing, Jamie, I'm assuming that you just toggle between both and format them the way you want them, and they will just persist when you toggle back and forth. Is that sort of the idea?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, very literally, we are just swapping out the field reference in the query. So like whatever you've got inside there, you can do. I thought about adding the easy quick ag thing. So like doing like a dimension to sum or count or something. But it was a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think you need it.
Yeah, I think it's a follow-on. I bet there are other like little things that we could do. There's also probably little things we could do on formatting. That actually maybe one example I can show here, sorry, that I thought was kind of a cool one. Sort of a dimensional selector too, and eventually I'd love to get this to be, sort of smart and hierarchical, so we could actually understand it. But like, let's say you want, country, state, you want country, and I'm gonna create a new field selector here. It's not on measures. This is going to be like a region selector, say, as an example. And then I also want to be able to toggle between state or city, just as, picking the granularity of the data you want to. There's like sort of it'd be interesting, none of this is modeled. This is all presentation logic and ways of updating fields. There's certainly going to be desire to have reusability here. So like a regional selector may make a ton of sense too. Some of this might be modeled concepts also that we want to basically have flow through. It's sort of like the measure selector could be something kind of like a drill field or drill set. It's sort of like interrelated objects. So, I think it's something where we don't have any model or governance associated with it yet. It really is presentation layer, but I think we can kind of evolve it over time too.
One other quick question. Will the content validator be able to hit these?
Ooh, not yet. That's
Okay.
a good call out there.
Okay. Yeah, just file a ticket for that one just to make sure.
Yeah, that's definitely worthwhile to think about. And then maybe also worth noting, it should, in theory, work updating viz configuration. So like, it's a little bit strange, but like, say you've got an x-axis that's the time frame, you of course want to have that time frame be swapped out too. Some of the formatting or labeling and stuff doesn't really make sense actually if you swap it between them too. So like, I think it's something we should probably think about, play with, and think about. I don't think that it's definitely not optimal. It's along the lines of how do we retain state on the viz, but then update it when fields
Yep.
change. I think it really is the same problem.
What about calcs? If I'm referencing B1, will it stay when we swap in between, or will it break calcs?
I think it breaks calc because I think that the B1 isn't basically it's translated immediately to the field reference to, and we do not
Yep.
update calc. So you'll get an error that basically says like you're referencing a field that doesn't exist inside the query.
Yep.
Do you want to remove that? And so like not not ideal, but I think actually still probably reasonable.
It's sensible. I could see people actually though wanting, like, you could just envision a ratio and you want to look at it like per user or per
def
org or something like that, and have the calc update. So like maybe building support for that down the line would be interesting.
Yeah, it does update pivots, subtotals, row totals too. So like you will
Okay.
be able to swap those out. Those are just cleaner and easier to do the swap. I think
Yeah.
calcs at least in theory would be possible. It's just they're just a more it's like a nested object
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I could see it for like change, for example. Like you want the measure and then you want the change on top of it. But I mean, the fact that we can, like, this is already pretty awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool because you can play around. It's like super fun to play around in the viz. Like you can just be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, I can like make my heat map switch between like, different granularities for the dates on because you can add a time frame selector like you can have two on the same thing. So you
Yeah.
can even do like it's pretty neat. It'll be really neat to see what people start making with it.
Yeah. And there's also almost certainly going to be stuff that feels not thought through yet. So like on the Viz, some of like changing the granularity of the data feels weird because it feels weird when you switch the granularity data of queries and stuff too. You get like some of the sawtooth, behavior. So like I think we want to think about that holistically. How do we, use the query to generate auto configs that are smart, that retain as much metadata as we can, but not.
The simple use cases should still work great though. Like time, if you're measure swapping on a line, is still going to work great.
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie, regarding your point about switching dimensions, changing the viz, I've been deep in that work for a couple weeks now. So just please let me know if you're going to do anything there.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna. I probably won't. You take it and run. I'll muck with the query, and you can change anything in the viz.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all.